Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with a Plapper. Platypus is the name. This is my boy, my friend, Laliette, my co-host for the Pygcast. How has your week in the Bazaar been? New character, new patch.
I've had an incredible week in the Bazaar. Playing Mac has been more fun than I thought it would be. I thought it would just be more gimmicky at first, and that I would like kind of not be into kind of potion regen kind of stuff that he's doing. But I've always loved the damage over time stuff, which is why I've leaned more in the Vanessa um, and Dooley realm. But then once Pig was able to play more burn, then I found Pig more fun. I also like Pig with freeze as well. So yeah, definitely enjoyed that. This is very much, we do all of the freezing and the burning and the slowing, everything that you can do for status effects. Mac's in it.
Mac is definitely has an aspect to him that is gimmicky, and the regents, transforming the regents. I mean, there's no other character that has any kind of remote mechanics similar to that, I don't think. Like Pig has buy and sell stuff, but that's not like such an alien concept. Transforming an item into a different item and then having items that get stronger from doing that is very, very different from what other characters are doing. But even with that gimmicky thing, that is like only one part of his kit overall. I think I don't know if I like him more than Pygmalion because I love big numbers and like big properties, and I like just freezing stuff. I just like Pygmalion. But Mac is easily my number 2 character, if not potentially number 1, if not for my bias. Super fun. Just the mechanics of the items are very interesting. I love damage over time. I love poison, I love burn, and I love regen, which is basically a lighter green there's green poison, red poison, and then there's light green poison, which is anti-poison that you put on yourself. I love regen. As a tanking mechanic, I think it's human psychology more than it is like anything. I love them hitting me because in Pig, I'm like, you didn't even get close. You weren't even close. But this, it's like you get to see your HP go down and then up, and then you see them hitting, and then over the course of a fight, suddenly it's going down slower and it's going up, and I'm just like, yeah! Like, it feels really good to cross the threshold where you're now regenerating enough to beat their build. Whereas Pig, I'm like, I just had enough HP and I'm dealing more damage with shield. It doesn't quite have the same fun, like my brain doesn't like that quite as much. So the regen is insanely fun. He has a lot of items that scale outside of combat and a lot of items that scale inside of combat for different players, like Philosopher's Stone and the items that get burned and poison when you transform items, and then inside items where it's like Poppy Field. So overall, this is such a well-designed character. And I think they overshot him. I think he's maybe a little bit too strong. Maybe he spent a little, Here's the thing. I want you to tune in before I jump into the next topic that I'm already thinking of. I'll talk all day, but I just wanted to sum it up. I've had an amazingly fun time playing Mac. I think they've done an incredibly good job. I couldn't believe how different it felt to play Mac as opposed to playing other characters. I think he should start with 200 HP and 2 regen for flavor. I want him to have some, like 1 or 2 regen for flavor. But what a well-designed character. If not, they overshot his power level is all. But yeah, he's probably the strongest, right?
Yeah, I think he's the strongest by a lot. So they obviously put out the shadow nerf, right? Where they didn't really announce it or say anything, but luckily we have how Bazaar GG to let us know when there are updates to the client file, which they said, please don't do that. And we're really glad they are doing that, counter to the fact that Tempo does not want you peeking into the game files. But that's the only reason we know the entire list. It would be really annoying to see all the incremental changes. And they nerfed our runs as well. I was lucky enough where my run was already powerful enough that I did not notice that it got nerfed. But that's what happened when I came back to play the game. All of a sudden, the cards did different things, but I didn't notice until I saw somebody in Discord complaining about it.
I feel like Tempo has to say, don't do that. I don't think they can, as a business, say, yeah, go ahead, data mine all of our stuff. So maybe they genuinely do feel that way, but I feel like that's something they just have to say regardless, right? They have to encourage people to not do that for probably legal reasons. But I'm glad that they do,
Yeah,
because I'm glad to see the shadow notes. It's just nice to be informed, because like I just automatically bought a couple things, didn't even thinking about it. I'm like, why is my item not working? Then I read it. I'm like, wait a second. And some of them were good because they were like, every change on that list, by the way, I thought was very well done. When something, they're not good at seeing how powerful an item is when it's not in the community. I feel like when it's in their own testing, they seem to not be very good at seeing how strong, like cargo shorts, like how strong this is. The second it gets into the wider audience and people, they get like, whatever, 1,000 games of data, they know really good fixes really fast. Like, I think they made super good fixes very quick. Maybe not enough on enough items, but they even buffed items that where I was like, the letter opener, what a great idea to buff that item by 25% crit every level. So now it gets one more guaranteed crit every like time it attacks for every level. A lot of good buffs and stuff like that as well. But yeah,
yes. The only part of the shadow nerfs and buffs that I didn't agree with was I think they hit the transformation regent a little bit too hard. I would really
yes,
like if they would just have at least one of the two regent items start at bronze, because all of your regents start at bronze, so you start collecting these things, but you can't transform them outside of the event unless, of course, you do have those two items. It's one large item that does it every time you go into a shop, and then the medium item does it every day. And then, of course, the issue with that is if you have an item that generates a regent or whatever, or something you can transform, and the item that transforms, the transform happens before the item gets generated. So even if it generates right into the right slot
it still
where
doesn't
it
work.
would be
Yeah.
transformed, it doesn't work. Which I feel like that little interaction at the very least needs to be fixed so that you can purposely do that, right? So that you have the item appear to the left of the item that's going to change it.
Yeah, it's just been, so there was a lot of things that should have been changed that were, but like I've gotten into the spot now where I have like my stash is like 7 regents in it, and I'm like, I have no way I'm ever gonna be able to do anything with these. So I just end up selling some of them for like 0 gold. Like I had 5 chunks of lead, and I'm like, zero. I didn't have the thing that gave me regen for selling it, so I eventually just had to sell it to make space. That feels kind of bad, because that was like, you start with a philosopher's stone, you're like, oh, I'm gonna kind of try to do this thing, but there's really no way to force it. Like, it's very difficult to try to force it now. Which I understand you don't necessarily want to force things, but I think there should be at least one more option, or at least the version that they nerf that's once per day. Maybe, I don't know how you fix it flavor wise, but make it maybe happen after a fight. That way it's at minimum twice a day with the option to go up to 3 times a day if you like try to force your events. I think that would be a better balance, so that way you feel like you have some control over it, and then fix that interaction like you said. Yeah. Other than that, what is Mac's balance like? Why is he so strong in your opinion?
So I think the reason that Mac is so strong is because they got all this data from all of these cards, and they were able to change his already existing cards in the game. He had cards in the game
Mm-hmm.
that were equal to the power level of the game, in my opinion. They weren't great, but they were like average cards. And then they reworked all those cards or gave them, bottled potion, right? That didn't have 100% crit before, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it didn't. I don't think it had any crit, or it had like 25%, but like higher. They
Yeah.
they changed it. It was not 100% though.
And so now that it has 100%, it's just a much better item than it was previously, even though it was already in the game. So they took a lot of items that were already in the game, they gave them little touch-ups, made them a little bit better, and I think that's one piece where they just found a better understanding of what is an item that is useful, not even powerful, right? But just something you would want to put in your build. So there's really barely any items in Mac that are not playable. And the issue is that the other 3 characters all have a sizable, Pig having the biggest one, a group of items that are just not really playable. If you want to go look at our Pig tier list, you'll see how many items we have in those bottom 2 tiers. Those are items that you don't really want to be playing with.
Yeah, like I think you said it super well. Like if you look at max unplayable items, it's like apothecary. I feel like that's like the one item. Like almost every other item, maybe it doesn't fit into every build, but like I feel like every item is like legit playable. Like Cellar is
Like
good.
Black
This is
Rose
good.
isn't very good if like you did go buy Black Rose, but um,
But I think
so
what
far
makes
out of everything you've gone through,
like this item's not very good,
uh,
but like it can be insane. So for me, what makes Max so strong is like kind of what we were talking about before the podcast is he has a remarkably high floor. His floor is I think by far the highest. Like all of his stuff just kind of works. Like they're all individually relatively good items. Besides, Infinite Potion isn't great. Some items do need some support, but most of his items are good on their own. And there's so much cohesion between all of his themes and his items. There's so many, like, because he has like, all right, he has lifesteal here, he has poison here, he has burn here, he has potion synergy here, he has regen here, he has lifesteal weapons here. If I already said that, I don't know. But the point is, there's so many bridges that link all these things together in interesting ways. And Pygmalion, just like, I'm going to talk mostly about Pygmalion. He doesn't really have that. He has like, here's Fixer Upper and things that care about value. His weapons, none of this shit cares about that. There's like Skyscraper at Diamond, right? Like that's it. And then it's like, all right, so here's like the drum build, and then here's the HP build. These things are very separate. There's very few things that actually connect these together. And they fixed it a little bit with something like VIP Pass, but VIP Pass has it's a pay to win item essentially. Not anymore. Everyone has it now. But it only affects properties, right? It won't even affect your jewelry. So it's like, it's still kind of clunky, and it's mostly for that. But so Mac has so much cohesion in his kit with a really high floor of the items generally being pretty good no matter what. Like Mac's stuff is a powerful build. Whereas Pygmalion, you need, like, I can't tell you, sometimes you get a start as Pygmalion, like none of this shit does anything together. Yeah, it's like, okay, I got an Alotl at 30 damage, I got a Yo-Yo at 1 damage, and now I have I have a bandage. None of this is doing anything. Like, I'm gonna lose to everything in this day. And Mac, I don't feel like has had that problem. Like, everything has been good,
yeah. So like you said, a lot of synergies, right? That overlap with a high floor for the power level of these items as well. And then one thing I would add to that, on top of the 2 points that we made, is Mac has the most access, just built on the way that his character is, the most access to enchantments. And enchantments are inherently very powerful and easier to break than non-enchanted things, right? So the fact that he can transform things that are enchanted into other items that weren't meant to be enchanted on day 2 or 3, right? So it's like that gives you a higher ceiling as well. So the enchantments kind of bring up the floor while also expanding what the ceiling can be. And the item quality does the exact same thing, because it's easier to get a broken or a crazy combo when you're using items in that combo that have standalone value to begin with.
Yeah, I feel like his like you said, I actually think his ceiling is relatively in check. Like, it maybe is a little bit too high on here and there with like the poison vat thing being able to like get you for like, you multicast it, you have 2,000 burn on you in the first couple seconds. Like, he definitely has some outliers, but I don't feel like his ceiling is so absurdly out of like what a really well built, one weapon Vanessa or a really big fixer upper build can fight against. I think he probably should be filed down a little bit, but I think it's mostly that his floor is like, his early game is really strong. Maybe not like pure damage wise, like maybe Vanessa could still win floor 1, but it's like, in order to get a cohesive build together that functions incredibly well is so easy, right? You don't really need to plan like, okay, I need to make sure, because in Pig I'm like, I need to go to the medium item vendor because I need to find that Ganjo, or otherwise I'm boned, like I'm not doing anything. He's just kind of like, you just pick up whatever, throw it on the board, it's all working. I did want to say, this is kind of a side note that I wanted to mention really quick, is I actually am okay, because right when Mac came out and I'm like, I bet Mac's gonna be busted, and he was totally busted, people were kind of like, I don't know, obviously people are kind of upset that the new pay-to-win character is kind of busted. I think that is where I want them to be, because here there's 3 alternatives. There's 3 options, and one of them isn't real, right? Option 1, he comes out too strong, like way too strong. Option 2 is maybe not way too strong, but he comes out too strong, he comes out too weak, or he comes out absolutely perfect. That's impossible. No, the characters that have been in the game forever aren't absolutely perfect. And I think, honestly, most people would be way more bummed and have way less fun if the new character was just way too weak. And I think that's a way harder problem to fix. If they make a character and fundamentally its engine doesn't run in a way that's competitive, like they have to look at the whole core of the character. As opposed to like when you make it way too strong, it's so much easier to file off the things. Like these few things are way too strong. So it's so much easier, I feel like, to bring the character into balance by overshooting it than by undershooting it. Because you don't need to redesign the core identity of items. You just need to take numbers down, basically. Maybe a couple redesigns. So I think it's actually a good thing that the character came out too strong. And I think they should always aim a little high as opposed to accidentally aiming too low. If that makes sense with you. I don't know if you agree with me.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I think you generally you do your internal testing to where it is equal or on par with the other builds, and then you probably give it a 5% tune over that because you need it to actually be good. And then, of course, the problem is that their testing is not very good. I don't know why. I don't know if they just don't have enough time to test. They don't have enough dedicated players. I guarantee you there are lots and lots of good players in Legend, etc., whatever, streamers, who would love to go ahead and test the beta one. I know they like to keep things close to the chest as well, so that kind of complicates things because then they don't want the beta branch like streamed or whatever, things like that. But what I can say for sure is that, like you said, 1,000 games or whatever, the community is able to break things that they internally seem to not be able to break, or that they just want to let us break to get data. That is always a possibility, and I wouldn't put it past them because they have been very willing to break every aspect of the game in order to kind of like draw the lines of where the game's systems exist.
I'm trying to think of a time where they haven't added that much. I mean, they've added new content to the game, but nearly every time they've added anything to the game, it's been overshot a little bit. I guess Vanessa's pack might have been a little bit weak. Maybe that could use a buff, but I think a few items in there are still like super strong. But I don't know about the new Vanessa pack. I don't think anyone's playing it yet. But yeah, like you said,
their testing was overshot.
Their testing seems to be, I don't know if I want to say bad, but there's certain things where it's like all I had to read the line on something like cargo shorts, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like I think Kriparian kind of read past it, and when I watched his patch notes review, like he thought it would be strong, but he was so distracted by like the dually changes or whatever because he probably was focused on other things. But like I read that and I was like, there's no way this isn't absolutely busted. I thought Billboard would probably be busted, but not on the same level. So I don't know. I don't know if they have. I think they're just like really eager and excited to push things, even if it's way too strong, and then they can like, okay, we'll fix it. Release it too strong, bring it back down. Because again, I think it's way harder to release things too weak and then bring it up because you might have to. Because if you bring it, the thing is, if you make something too strong, everyone hates it. You make it too weak, people are like, thank God we don't have to see pufferfish anymore, you know? At least like, yeah, kill that stupid item. But if something is too weak and you buff it to be too strong, then you got to bring it back down again. Like, I think that's a bigger problem in terms of the community will get mad. It's like, they buffed this thing to the moon, now they have to nerf it. And so I think that is just overall, I think releasing things too strong is, I mean, perfect is ideal, but that's not possible. So I think, like, we're talking about is overshooting it is overall a better philosophy to aim for.
I don't really mind the overshooting and stuff as long as it's not tied to monetization, right, where it's not pay to win. Like the very first time we had a pack, right, it was the pig pack was just super overpowered. I still believe it was overpowered by the end of that battle pass, but that was after heavy nerfs. When it was first released, it was unbelievably powerful, and that's the only time it bothers me. Every other time in all of our playing, in closed beta, open beta, season 1, it does not bother me when they overshoot stuff and then correct it. Not communicating with the public, not a fan of that, right? So like, just patch notes. That's all we needed. Yeah. I don't even care about the like not giving enough warning. Some people were upset that they didn't get enough warning. The servers were going to be down. Quit your whining. Like, but I would like to be able to see them without having to go to somebody who is technically breaking the rules to see them.
Yeah, my assumption is that like this again, an assumption makes an ass of you and me, so I have no idea there's no context here other than, to me it feels like they're like, all right, we can either delay this fix a little bit by a couple hours or a day to write patch notes, or we could just have everyone do the work and then, but they did the work and then they didn't release patch notes later. So I assume that patch notes, I mean, it's just like, if you write it on a notepad, I assume it can't be that hard. But I also know every time I don't know about something, it tends to be more complicated than I think. And so I'm thinking maybe it's just a bigger workload than I'm giving them credit for like a shadow hotfix. But I don't know. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I agree. To me, it seems like a little weird to not just like at least make an announcement in the Discord, if not like an official patch note. It's like, hey, these few items are going to be changed. Details aren't going to be provided at this time, but be aware. Reread them when you buy them.
Yes, and kind of to prove, and there still is no patch notes as of now, which is kind of interesting, weird, but whatever. Not the end of the world, not a hill worth dying on or whatever. But I am curious to kind of illustrate how powerful he is. I was thinking maybe if you still had in your notepad, we could open up, the fast fasty, right? And we could do it with Mac now.
I don't have that one, but I mean, I have another notepad with today's notes on what we're going to talk about, so it's fine. Let me just, it doesn't matter if there's a spoiler. I was like, oh no, someone knows that we're going to talk about something. But we'll just do it here fast. Remind me exactly what they are.
I believe it would be,
I think it's a great idea, by the way. I'm actually interested because this is something that everyone's going to be relatively on the same page are. This is acceleration, I think.
Yes.
And then, okay, so
I'm going to pull it up just in case, because the force, acceleration,
sustain and tankiness. Sustain and tankiness.
Yep.
So I think...
and then we did E for economy.
And we did...
on top of that. So.
Oh, we did fast ER, right? Faster. It was economy, and I don't remember what... It was something just to make it...
I don't think we did an R.
Well, yeah. we'll leave it there. Maybe that's a roundup, right? That's all of them. That's when we get them all together. So let's actually, we can go through this because now this is not me dictating it like I was kind of on Pig. Let's kind of start backwards and work our way up. How about that?
Yeah, let's do it.
So economy. My initial reaction is that he is behind Pig, but not by a significant amount. You just are getting a lot of items to sell. You're transforming things into gold. He doesn't have a lot of money generating items, but I feel like I have way more money with Mac than I need most of the time. So, like,
yes,
what is it?
I felt like he was the second most.
So it's 3 out of 4, right? Because 4 characters now.
Yeah.
I guess I don't need to do out of 4.
It'd be two out of.
Is it the lower the numbers, the better? The lower the number, the better in this case, right?
Yeah, I think that's how we did it last time.
Okay. Tankiness. This one is. I think he's not the worst, but I think he's definitely... It's basically a debate between him and Vanessa, right? I think he's tankier than Vanessa, but I don't know. Vanessa has that seaweed. That's kind of rough. I think as an overall kit, he has more tankiness in the sense he has regeneration, but he is the most susceptible to getting one shot out of all the characters. So I'm kind of interested in what you think.
Yeah, it's so weird because now without duct tape, I actually think that Dooley might be the least tanky character.
Did they? I thought they gave it back to him. Did they? That was just that was in the patch notes under a Dooley item. That might have just been an error.
If they did give it back to him, they did change it so it's a one-sided item now, and I haven't seen it in my 4 Dooley runs, so that's not a ton of Dooley runs. But the fact that he doesn't have any shield items, he should be the least tanky, right? But in some ways, it feels like his regen makes up for it.
Yeah, so here's the thing is, if someone's like a sustained damage dealer, he just kind of wrecks a lot of time because he can usually get enough regen. But if they're just trying to kill you in one critical hit, you always die. You have 1,000 regen, you just die. It doesn't matter. So he's kind of in an awkward spot in order for tankiness because sometimes I feel invincible, other times I never had a chance, I
Yeah,
mean,
so I definitely think it's 3 or 4. I'll let you put it wherever you feel.
I think he's probably a 3 because I don't think Vanessa ever has that. I mean, Vanessa does have some big shield stuff, but like that's kind of a rare Vanessa thing. I think I don't think that's like the core. That's mostly like seaweed, right? When you get a seaweed going, I feel like I don't know.
Does
Maybe
have
I'm
a
wrong.
lot of shield items. I just think people don't play them,
Yeah.
which is I don't know how to explain that. You know what I mean? People just choose not to play them because they're not good enough. Playing weapon Vanessa is just so much better, and she does have life steal through, um, using the. It's not called the lookout, but whatever the crow's nest. That I think that's what it's called.
Do you? This is again. I think this is kind of this character kind of takes this list and kind of flips it because it's kind of hard. Sustain is an interesting one that's difficult because he literally has the most ammo items with the least amount of ways to like recharge them on their own. You have to run an item to recharge them. So his sustain, especially in the early game, is like dog water. It's very bad. You're just hoping that one potion use, gets there. You have 3 potions. You're like, I hope that's enough for the sandstorm to win. But in the late game, you usually don't have issues because you usually can reload your potions. But I would say that you have to run things to make it sustainable. Doesn't make it like easy to sustain. So I don't think he's like the best for sure. So I think he's either a 3 or 4 in my book.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure, right? Because he doesn't really rely on the limited skills,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can use them, but like if you're going to play uh, dually, you kind of need those skills that give you 5, 10, whatever number of triggers to get a good drill going, right? It's hard before this patch with dually to be able to get enough triggers, but the bugs actually have helped dually a ton with that. So yeah, 3 or 4 is probably where he stands on stamina. I'd go with a 3 because I really don't feel like Vanessa has a ton of sustain. So it's really between him and Dooley for second spot.
Okay.
Um,
As far as acceleration, I believe that's the word.
yes.
I'm leaning towards pretty high. I don't know about literally number 1 in terms of like Vanessa can sometimes just be so fast with like the crits and stuff. And Dooley usually has to wait at least like 4 seconds for it to all start kind of moving. But I mean, he has the ability to kind of go with like the Mimi vial launcher stuff, He has the which is kind of slower. It's still good, but it's slower. But like Vat of Acid, just like after 7 seconds, instantly thousands of poison. Potions are generally pretty fast and have relatively big effects. Candle can go off like crazy. And he kind of just, most of his stuff just keeps getting stronger because it does a lot of damage over time. And so as you get poison, more poison is stronger, more burn is stronger. Every point of burn is higher, and he's constantly getting more regeneration. So he scales up a lot, and I feel like he scales up pretty fast. So I'm thinking he's like a 2 on acceleration.
Yeah, I could go with 2. And I actually, as I was thinking about acceleration, the way that his sustain works is that he's using a lot of damage over time. So he actually is able to continue, if not increase his damage over time, to a point where I actually think he's probably number 2 on sustain.
Yeah, that's true. Where I think that's
It's
fair.
like the difference between having 200 poison and 800 poison is a lot, in
Yeah,
burn,
it's true.
etc.
No other character I feel like kind of scales as like Dooley does have scaling, but like Pig is like kind of that's his whole thing is he scales within combat a lot of time. Besides property values, that's outside of combat. But like second 1 of the fight, he's weaker than second 30 of the fight. And then I feel like Mac's kind of the same way. He gets stronger every second the fight is going on, right? He keeps getting stronger, more damage over time, more regeneration. Whereas Vanessa, I feel like, is the opposite, right? She kind of blows her load as fast as possible. Sometimes she'll have like some scaling, but it's not on like the same curve. So I think that's fair. And acceleration, you think that's about a 2? I think that's fair. I think he starts pretty fast. He's not like insanely broken fast, but I mean, he gets going pretty darn quick still. But I've definitely lost
Yeah,
to
I think he
Vanessa's.
gets he gets started as fast as anyone, right? So Vanessa does have the most kind of absurd cooldown reduction stuff where it's not unbelievable to go up against a one weapon Vanessa that has a lane Jane that's supposed to be like 11 seconds or something, and they have it firing in like 2.7, and you're like, oh, that's unfair.
Yeah, I don't even
But
know how
yeah.
they do that. That's like, I hate that. I hate that. It makes me so mad. Okay, that's too big. No, it's not. No, it's not. We're good. Okay.
So, last we have Force. So, how are you feeling about his ability to apply force and defeat opponents? Generally before Sandstorm.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just number one. I think he just if you see Sandstorm, it's because you accidentally used the potion yourself. Because like either you're dying or they're dying. I mean, I have gotten to Sandstorm naturally, of course, but I mean, he just kills shit fast. It depends on the build, obviously, but just in general, like even if you're running things like the moose horns, you're running the spider mace with the femurs, magic carpet, giving everything crit, like giving them thousands of burn. You could do the ice claw build. I bet that gets the sandstorm quite a bit because of the slowness of it. But frozen flame, like I feel like he's just really strong. Like he just blows things up in general. I don't know if it's like because Vanessa might have like again like I think that's more of an acceleration thing. Vanessa's just very fast, but I think he's better at actually killing things. Vanessa will sometimes fail to get to that finish line, and I feel like Max starts strong and then just keeps going hardcore.
Yes. I think that's kind of what I'm thinking is he starts as strong as anybody else, right? Like as far as, the acceleration piece, etc. But then he only gets stronger. And even if he's not the best at scaling out of the entire game, being really good starting and really good scaling is kind of a combination. I think that just gives you a remarkable amount of force, right? And when you're talking about damage over time stuff, it's like that's why we're not really getting to Sandstorm, is because eventually, like those numbers get too big. You can one shot somebody with like poison and burn in this game. We've done it with other characters, so it's not ridiculous to think that people really aren't playing the other heroes as much. Pig is probably at an all-time low in play rate. Without HP Pig out there, Mac really has an easy time kind of abusing the fact that everybody's got pretty low HPs. He's playing a lot of mirror matches, and we're not going to Sandstorm in the mid or late game.
Yeah, no, it's the force is very high. It's again, if you've not used the vat of poison yet or a vat of acid, whatever, just use that item. Give it the potion thing. When you sell a potion, give it multicast. It absolutely will be nerfed. I don't know how they're going to nerf it. Maybe they'll just make it do burn equal to its poison, which sounds like it's not a nerf because if you read it, it sounds like it kind of does that. It does not. It basically doubles. It basically does burn equal to double the poison, essentially, once you have multicast. Because you poison 100, you burn 100. You poison 100, you burn 200. So you're getting 300 burn and 200 poison. You could get it triple cast because you could also get the model ship, or you could get anything that gives multicast. You can make that have it. It's not that hard, or you can make it shiny. You could have it shiny. I've seen one of them triple cast, but it's possible to get it up to ×4, ×5. At that point, that's a meme. You don't want to go that deep, probably, because it's overkill. But it is funny that you can. So, but that item aside, yeah, just so much of the kit is strong. Even Candle is like. Probably it's arguably a bad version of Matchbox. It's twice the cooldown but with twice the charge rate. It has 8 seconds instead of 4 seconds, I think. I don't know, Matchbox is still 4. They might have nerfed it to 5. But then it gets 2 seconds whenever you use a small item instead of a non-weapon item. It's very similar to Matchbox, but it's a medium instead of a small. But it's like that item is still really good. Like it's a very powerful item if you get it. I don't see people run it that much, but I think not as many people played Matchbox Pig as I did, so it's like I felt like such a natural build for me. So one thing I added here at the bottom that I just was kind of interested in, because I think it's for me it's a little more relevant as opposed to, because these feel a little arbitrary, but I kind of want to rank them same thing, 1 to 4, early game, mid game, late game. How strong do you think they are in the early game, in the mid game, and in the late game? I'll let you lead this one, and I'll add if I agree or disagree.
All right. So, in the early game, Vanessa's probably like the best, and then I would go Mac.
And what are we going to that's 100% what I would say as well. What do you kind of, how do we want to define the early game, mid game? Like day 1 through 3 is early game, day 1 and 2 are early game.
Maybe 1 to 4.
Day 1 to 4, okay.
Yeah. Because like day 1, you have almost no ability to really control the outcome. Like you can make bad decisions, but the amount of good decisions you can make very low. And then by the time you get to day 2, you usually can put some formulation of a cohesion of a build, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing things where things interact together. Day 1, that's not really that reasonable. I did play against a pig that had day 1 a silver matchbox. It had the ladle, it had the hot stones, and it had piggles. And the combination of 3 burn items and all 4 of them being non-weapons was unbelievable. They destroyed me.
You would be
but that's not
disgusted by some of my pig starts. Most of them you'd be like, man, pig sucks. But sometimes you get that matchbox with the +9 burn when it used to be. And then I'm just running, piggles, and then like bird or something like that. It's like, oh, they're at 56 burn like 30 seconds. Or not 30 seconds, like 10 seconds. And there was that day 4.
Yes, and to be clear, I'm rating all of these things without the gold skill, because I think the gold skill really tilts depending on what you get.
Yes.
Every character can be very good in the early game with certain skills, but I think it's probably the least picked one right now after they nerfed the poison and the burn skills, and they increased it's now 6 gold when you get the enchanted item. So I've really enjoyed picking that start.
And I've completely flipped, by the way. I think pig should always start with the skill instead of the enchanted item. The enchanted item's more fun, but almost every one of his enchanted items, outside of like specifically a something succulent, like a burn, poison, obsidian, succulent, they all kind of suck because there's so many bad early game pig items. We're like, oh yay, radiant hatchet, woo! Like I don't care. Like, but if you just get the skill that gives you plus 200 HP for every non-weapon item, like you can't lose. You have so much. You have 1,000 plus HP day 1. But no, you're absolutely right. So mid game was what, day 4 to 9, day 4 to 10, maybe.
Yeah, day 4 to 9 probably sounds really good. 10 is like both day 5 and day 10 to me are these, like, you can call it either way. It really just depends on who you're facing, because unfortunately we don't get to choose that. So you're going to face somebody who either is struggling more and looking more like an early game build, or they've already transitioned into their mid game build.
So I think for me, I mean, I said you're leading, but I put Mac as like number 1 in the mid game. I don't think anyone's got him beat at this stage, where again, so many of it, in my opinion, so many of his items just work together where you don't need to get like with Vanessa and Pig, you need to get like, I need these 3 items or these 4 items to get a build, and now I have a thing going. Mac is like, I got 10 board slots of just kind of things, and it all works good. And if you happen to get really synergistic stuff, then you kind of go off. But I feel like it's so easy to put together a build that you have no weak Mac boards on day 4, 5, 6, 7. There's never like, oh wow, this guy just sucks. Like he's always a danger at that point.
Yes, and I think the thing that might put him above, because like Julie and Vanessa would fight before for that one spot, right? In the mid game, and the way I kind of looked at it is who has more viable mid game boards, right? And it's like the one that has more viable ones is probably the better mid game hero, even if Dooley might have 2 really good mid game boards, but if Vanessa has 5, you get what I'm saying? Like then you can't always hit those 2 Dooley boards. And Mac, I think, even outperforms Vanessa in this ability where I can't really say for sure, because we were just messing around before the run, forcing what I would say is a bad idea of a board, trying to do reloads on potions, right? But the reload triggers were giving us the regen and the damage, etc.
Yeah, it was like it was a satchel build, a satchel vial cannon build, not even the recycling bin, which is arguably way better. Yes. And that it worked great. Would have been an easy 7 wins had I not memed myself into oblivion.
Yes, we did take the skill that destroyed our item and their item, which was it ended up being suicide. But
Yes.
without that, we probably would have had about 8 wins on that run, right? But we were pushing days, right? We were on day 11 when we were getting our seventh win. So
Keep
you
in
can
mind, we
see
we
that we still were
memed.
powerful.
We also transitioned out of an objectively really powerful, easy to put together stuff already. So like we had two completely different builds on the board that happened to kind of work together because so many of his items work pretty well, and we got rid of the powerful part of it to put in a meme, and it was still working very viably.
Yes, especially through the mid game period that we're defining as like
Hmm.
anywhere between 4 to 10. So the fact that you can probably at least 7 different unique ideas to run in the Mac mid game and maybe more.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe like some, like I don't know the exact numbers, but yeah, like 7 rough ideas, and then in those ideas, a lot of it is semi-modular. There might be an ideal, but there's like all right, maybe the crit potion is ideal, the one that gives all your items crit, but just running the thunder potion that itself has crit is also good, or just running the haste potion is also good. Like there's a lot of things that will like, all right, this kind of fits in still, which is good. The late game, I think this is where if they're going to start, I think this is why I kind of wanted to go over this, is I think right now he's number 2 in the late game. I don't think he's as good as Pygmalion. In terms of like, we're talking day 14, 15, like these super late game Omega builds, everyone can get out of control. I actually think his late game is within reason, but I don't think it's quite as broken as what you could see on some Vanessa's dualies in Pig, but I think in general the floor of it's really high. But I think that I would like to see this at like number 4. I think I would like to see Mac to be like a really good early game, mid and like great mid game, and then it's kind of hard for him to finish the game off if he lost some games early where he's strong. So I would like to see his late game ceiling brought down, where in his, I think it's kind of fun that he has like such an interesting mid game where you could do so much.
Yes, I agree. What he feels like right now to me, if you brought down that power level for that, like, day 13, 14, 15, um, is he would be a great character for everybody to get instead of Vanessa, right?
Yeah.
So, like, the fact that you can naturally hit items that synergize, even by mistake, learn synergies through the game that way, be powerful in the mid game to the point where you can actually compete against people, and then all of a sudden your power's all gone. So you might be able to get to 6, 7 wins almost all the time, because that's where your strength lies in those first, 7, 8 days. I feel like that would be a better new player experience than instead just getting 2 wins when you go to ranked and then feeling like everybody just absolutely destroys you, even though you're never going to really get 10 wins with Mac unless, well, in this idea of Mac we have, unless you hit the right set of diamond items and skills, right? I want those to be the way to get the 10 wins with Mac, not I actually just play my mid game and then I upgrade my mid game items and then I win.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I think that this is the most important one a character could be really good at, because if you're really good in the mid game and you're not like Pig bad in the early game, like getting to 7 wins is the bit. Your goal should always be 10 wins, sure, but like 7 wins is really the big one. If you have the subscription, you're infinite for sure. Like you're gonna get 4 chests a game, you get 7 wins. Even if you don't have the subscription, it's roughly, given your free tickets, infinite at 2 wins. So being able to get the 7, and this is the number one indicator for 7 wins, is this one right here. Because again, like if you get up to day 10, you can get 7 wins in 10 days. Like that's good. You don't need to get to 10 wins to have a successful run. And so Mac being so good at this, I think is very new player friendly. And I think this is the easiest part of the game for inexperienced players, where in a sense, like you don't have that many decisions here, but knowing the objective right decision will give you the best chance here. And in the late game, this is where like the super good players like Riparian, where it's like you figured out all the broken interactions and you finally high rolled. That's when like really, really good players can like win on day 15 and stuff. But here I feel like you've had enough decisions where even if you make suboptimal decisions, there's enough decisions to be made where you can overcome suboptimal decisions with a powerful character. And yeah, I also you're more likely to go infinite when you're really good at this stage of the game.
Yes, and I think that was the design and idea of Vanessa, was to be the most powerful early game character, the most powerful mid game character, and to be weak in the late game. And I just don't think that's the way things have turned out, right? We have a lot of iterations of items and builds, etc. in Vanessa. One thing that's been, very standard the whole time is one weapon Vanessa, which when you hit the right stuff is an unbelievably strong late game. Now, if you want to say, well, Josh, you already said, or Laliette, whatever, you already said that I want skills and diamond items to be the things that decide if you get to win on day 15. Well, if that's the case, they've designed her very well, right? That she is really hard to get 10 wins with whatever your mid game is, unless you hit on the high roll. So they did a great job with her. The issue is Mac is just better or as good at those things as she is, with more upside in the late game.
Yeah, I mean, I like saying Pig is the best late game character, but that's as like a general, all of his stuff kind of is really good in the late game. Like as far as perfect builds, like one weapon Vanessa is so good at it, it just keeps getting stronger. That build is really hard to beat. Like I see people in the late game running -2 slots because instead like they're using like a small weapon or something like I didn't remember what it was, but they'll run like a yo-yo or something. I don't know. Like they'll just run whatever they can get because they're like, all right, this is all I got, and it still kicks my ass sometimes. I'm like, man, one weapon Vanessa is very strong. It also I really dislike that one weapon's Vanessa best item is not the sniper rifle. I really think it should be the sniper rifle. It's the only thing that says on it if this is your only weapon. Like, and it's like the third or fourth best option or something like that, if that, So
yeah, I mean, I think it's weird that the Langjang scales in damage, but the sniper rifle doesn't. So it's like,
yeah,
I think when you play a player fight with the sniper rifle, it should get stronger. It should not be whether you win or lose, right? But it should have some kind of ability to improve itself over time, because Langjang shouldn't be a better one weapon option than the actual sniper rifle.
yeah. So I think I absolutely agree. It just doesn't make. That's like flavor. Like I actually care about flavor, and again, I don't like giving them like. If anyone from Tempo's watching, they're probably not. But if they are, I don't like giving solutions. I like voicing what the problems are because they're the designers. I couldn't come up with a whole character by myself with a cohesive kit. I'm not good at that. But there are certain things where I'm like, I wish this flavor was different. Like I wish Mac had like 1 or 2 regen to start with purely for a flavor reason. But yeah, I'm good at pointing out problems, not solutions, which is probably very annoying. But that's
yeah. I won't say that I have the right solution, right? But I want to throw something out there, so that I'm not just like casting stones, right?
to make
I
Tempo
do want things to be better.
to make Tempo feel better. That's the opposite of a Redditor who doesn't know the problems and gives terrible solutions to things that weren't problems. Okay, so it's like yes, we may not have solutions, but we could point out things that general players feel. Whereas a Redditor is like, I'm the only one that feels this way, and here's the worst possible solution with untold ramifications that I'm not considering. Like, why not just make everything? I don't know, deal 10x damage. It would save me time in my day. I don't have time to play all these games, but if you make everything deal 10 times more damage, I can get more games in. Like, what are you talking about? You're insane. So based off this, he's relatively balanced because I think 10 is high, but I think it was tied for our highest with Pig. But also, I actually don't think he's balanced right now. So, like, again, whatever method you use, it's all going to be kind of, for me, a vibe check. He's too strong still. That's all. It's too easy.
Well, I mean, he's not the worst at anything, and then he's really good in all phases of the game. So, like, sometimes you have to look across multiple different ideas, right? So,
Yeah.
faster might measure one way of looking at the game, But really the tempo piece, or like the, what stage of the game we have strength in, is probably more important than the faster, even though the faster is cool. I think 12 and a half is the average. So like
Okay.
if we could get every character to like 12 and a half, like that would be really good. But
That's why
of
I
course,
I wanted to do this part, because to me this was like kind of like, all right, but where is he actually at? Like without breaking out individual parts of his kit, where's the vibe? This is more detail and explanation about why he's strong, but I think this is kind of like he's too strong in the late game, I would say, is kind of like for me what this highlights. I love him being strong. And you said this is a flavor thing. I don't remember if that was on the podcast or before when we were having a conversation, but even flavor wise, I like the idea that he's 1,000 years old or whatever, right? Or hundreds of years old, right? So he has all this experience. It would make sense that he's very strong in general. Like he just has a lot of experience he gets to come in with. And I like the idea that he gets weaker in the late game from a flavor standpoint of like he's overconfident, right? He underestimates his opponent's ability to grow because he thinks he knows everything, and he doesn't take into consideration people may know things he doesn't. Whereas like Pygmalion could be the best in the late game because it's all about compounding interest, right? It's all about his money makes money. So I think you could even frame the characters in that aspect. It might get harder as there's more characters, right? Like a guy made of rock that's really good at tanking up. Like, I don't know. Rock is old as time, but I don't know. I just thought that this was interesting from a flavor standpoint as well.
yes. And one additional flavor standpoint, right, is he is searching for the secret to both eternal life, which he kind of found, and bringing back the dead, right?
Yes.
So that sole focus might make it so that in the late game, he is not paying attention to a wide enough, you know what I mean, in a battle, right? You're not really
Well,
you're a little bit too focused on one thing.
You're absolutely right. He has 10,000 regeneration, but only 2,000 life, so he can still get one shot. He's focused very much on cheating death in some regard, but someone could still cut off his head. He's like, damn, all right, I guess that works. Okay, not everyone's just trying to burn you to death, I guess. Oh, where'd that go? All right, so let's take a look at my notes here, see if we have anything else to move on to here. I made all the text way too big, so let me shrink it down really quick while we go format, font, bring it back down to 22 so I can actually read. All right, okay, so we want to go over the Dooley and Vanessa packs, but really quick, the one thing I want to go over before we finish that up is is Mac the best designed character? And I think in both of our opinion is yes, Mac is the best designed character. And I mean, you could take this from maybe flavor wise, he is or isn't. Maybe from a character design, like his model is or isn't. I more mean from how cohesive his items are, how all of the things lead into each other. We should stop talking before the podcast. But my idea is he has like 6 things he's good at, right? He's good at lifesteal, he's good at poison, he's good at burn, he's good at potion/ammo, he's good at regeneration. And there's a lot of bridges that branch all these things together. There's lots of crossover, like in a Venn diagram, there's a big circle in the middle. Much more so than other characters have, right? Like Vanessa's shield build is not necessarily connected to her one weapon build, which is not necessarily connected to like her poison stuff, even though there could be crossover, but Mac is the most crossover. So his items feel so good to play together and so modular in so many ways that to me, it feels like he has the best designed kit. But I think that, like you said, that kind of comes at the cost of other characters kind of feel more clunky now. Like when I play Pig, I'm like, it's so annoying that so many of these things don't refer to each other or have any kind of crossover whatsoever. So how do you kind of feel about the overall design and its elegance versus other characters?
Yeah, I think there's so many different ways that he hits very well. I think all of the characters so far in the Bazaar, the 4 that we have that we can actually play with, as far as thematically, right, lore-wise, aesthetics, and playstyle, they've done a great job with those, right? So like those 4 things, they're killing it with everybody. So it's like when we're talking about actual like gameplay, how does the character play? How does it feel? There's probably an acronym we could end up coming up with. Maybe by next week we'll have it. But there's certain things when you're playing the game that you're looking for, such as, like you were saying, cohesiveness, right? Like how well does everything play together? Identity, right? does this character actually have things it's setting out to do and is able to, deliver on those things that he's setting out to do? I feel like he delivers on all of the ideas that you would come to an alchemist thinking they can deliver. Um,
Yeah,
and the
he's very strong in flavor. He's the strongest, I think, in flavor in general. There's maybe a few outliers, like maybe his freeze stuff is like a little bit like mechanically there instead of being, but like just the amount of regeneration, poison, slow, life steal, which is like draining life from people. It all feels so much. It feels in line with his personality, his goal, his visual representation. I think it's the best designed character, top down, or bottom. I don't know. I don't know what they started with. If they started with an idea of an alchemist and then started there, or if they had mechanically items they wanted to use. But either way, they came to an amazing end result.
Yes. So I also think they did a great job with bringing in the new mechanic, right? So the new mechanic transformation, love it. Want to play with it more in the early game so that I feel like I'm getting rewarded for playing with it. Because right now it feels awkward and it feels like you generally shouldn't be trying to do that unless it just falls upon your lap. But the fact that that mechanic now permeates into everyone else, right? So now, and when I'm dually, I can transform the core and I can sell it. So
Yeah,
that's really cool.
that's so
Right?
fun. I love that.
And everyone's transformations are hero specific, and some people don't like that. I love it. It makes it so that I can actually roll my odds, right? So it's like, if there's four good items for me that are small gold, and I have a small gold item, I want to try to hit those, even if there's 20 other items I could hit. You know what I mean? Knowing that there's 4 or 5 hits in there that are just really good for me feels nice when instead of rolling against the entire pool, where most things I'm ever going to get are not very good.
Yeah, like if I get go to the event, I get a free medium item, and I get Grindstone as Pygmalion. Really excited to re-roll that into something, anything, because I don't think you can do that on day one. But whatever, there's like a later day where you get access to medium and then large items. That's a good feeling because Grindstone is terrible, and almost every other medium item is relatively good. So that's a fun mechanic they added in general.
And I want to throw out a fun fact that was not shared in any of like the shadow notes or anything, but I noticed this. On day one, I transformed I don't remember his name, but the Triceratops that you fight on day 10 who has a spaceship.
Yeah.
That guy, I got his spaceship, and I hate that spaceship. So I had the transform option, and it let me transform it into another large legendary. There's only 2 other large legendaries that I can think of. Right? So it's like the big flaming sword.
The eye that breaks things.
And the eye that breaks things. I got the eye that breaks things, and I got 9 wins. Now I forced it. It probably wasn't the best thing I could have done, right?
But it's fun. Yeah.
I just thought it was cool that I got it, and I was like, I'm going to try to use this with Mac to get 10 wins.
That's actually crazy, because is that still in the game, or did they change that? Do you know?
No, they removed it with the patch. So like now, I tried doing it again today with my medium scythe. Is the scythe a legendary item?
It's a legendary item that the knight guy has.
So I was like, that doesn't really work for what I'm trying to do right now. So I would like to try to change it into a different one, like maybe octopus would have been really nice. And it did nothing because but the good news is it does show you the target if it's going to do something with it or not. But I didn't pay attention. I just pressed the button, assuming it would transform it.
Because it did before. Yeah, I was thinking it'd be so cool to get Octopus and change that into like Dragonheart or something like that, because I'm always playing like burn stuff. Yeah. All right, I mean, maybe that's a little bit of like, I kind of wish that's kind of a fun little interaction, but it probably makes it too easy to force stuff. Because now you only need to get because you could re-roll it probably 3 times on a run, depending on what you get. So it probably becomes really easy to force legendary items. But it's fun for the little time that it lasts, at least. But yeah, so my hope is with how well I've seen Mac design, and I don't think Pig, Vanessa, and Dooley are badly designed characters, but I think Mac is a letter grade up in general. Like if before they were, let's say before they were all 9s and 10s, like now in my mind they're like 6s and 7s. Like they're good, but Mac, I'm like, this is great. He's definitely there. So now I'm hoping with mandatory packs being added, that this is going to be, they're just going to start bridging all these themes. I think Vanessa's first pack seemed a little whatever about that. I don't know. Dooley's pack feels terrible for that. It's absolutely a completely segmented off little pack, it feels like, with the 5 little bronze bugs and then the big thing.
I disagree.
Okay, maybe they all work together and they give you a dream. But the frozen assets on Pig is like perfect. They already had a freeze theme. He already has a little bit, a super small burn thing that he could do. And then he has property values. And then they put an item that supports like every archetype can be enhanced by this pack. So if they keep doing those style of packs, I think all the characters over time will feel on max level where things are very cohesive instead of being clunky and awkward sometimes. Because Mac, I don't think has ever felt clunky. In all the games I played with him, he's always felt like this stuff all works together, you know? All right, so tell me about the Dooley pack. That's going to be our final topic of the day. The Vanessa pack,
Yeah,
we don't have it, so there's nothing to talk about.
As much as I love the Dooley pack, we might have to save that for next week. And the cool thing is maybe next week we'll actually have... I'm not going to buy the Vanessa pack, so we probably still won't have played with it. But
I mean, I got
community
it.
Note.
How about I'll play 5 games with this, with the Vanessa pack.
Okay, yeah, and you let us know next week, and we'll hit both the packs next week. Because what I would like to do instead is, I think we have to give them their due on the monetization, right? I think everybody agrees,
Yes.
so we don't have to go super deep into it. But they put a lot of effort into changing this. I've heard conspiracies that they purposely made the other one shit so that they could be the hero. I don't really care. All that I care about is that they got rid of the issue that I had with paid content and the idea of me and other people never being able to play with the same stuff, and also the toggling on and off of packs, right? They fixed both of those in one fell swoop, and now 1 month later, if you do not get to the level that you need to get to unlock it for free, because you unlocked Vanessa for free, right?
Yeah. I already had Vanessa because I bought the pass, right? But point is, everyone gets it now. Like people that didn't have Pygmalion's items now have Pygmalion's items.
And I'm talking about the new pack.
The new pass, yeah, I just got it right now. Like if I take a look at Vanessa, yeah, I just got it. So I got the gang.
The gang. So yeah, I think that's awesome that you can get it for free now. And I think it's even better that for some reason I didn't play a lot this month, but I start playing next month. These will be in my pool, and there's nothing I can do about it. So, for a casual player, jumping in to do a run after taking some time off the game and seeing new cards for free that you did nothing to do for is amazing. Like, that's such a really nice feeling when you go into the game. Makes it feel like there's so much more discovery to be done, and I think that's a great change. I'm going to let you kind of pour more into some of the great changes they've made.
Yeah, I would say... I don't know if they. I know people were like they don't listen. They're lying to us. They're making it pay to win. And like, this is. I would argue probably that they went too far in the direction of what the players wanted. I think they may have given everyone too much. But as that is purely from as long as they can make the money, I don't care. This is the perfect system if they can make the money they need. Because, like you said, I think there's a lot of good things, right? You know, right now you could go and buy the pack for, I already have all the packs, but if you don't have it, you can go into, like, Dooley and you can buy it with gems, right? So if you save up gems, you can get it day one without any money at all. And if you do want to spend money, you could literally, and don't want to spend gems, you could pay to progress the pass to get those cosmetics, because you want a cosmetic with a low number on it or something. I don't know. So it has options for paying people that are impatient. It has tons of options for free-to-play players. I don't know how they're going to make money off of it right now without just the subscription, I guess, which I don't know people are going to need. But the best thing about the whole system, in my opinion, is kind of something you already highlighted, but I want to double down on, is there's a new game coming out that I'm going to cover on my other YouTube channel, right? A new gacha game. I'm going to spend a lot of time on that. Because I'm sponsored to play it and stuff like that. I might take time off the Bazaar and play way less games, but I'm not going to, but hypothetically, right? I have a life, I do other stuff. I come back in 2 months, 3 months, or a brand new player. It's going to feel so fresh and exciting. I get to play Pygmalion, and now he has all these new items in there. If I take a few months off, he gets 2 new packs. I come back and I play Mac, and Mac has a new pack or something, it's so good for returning players. It's unbelievable how fun a returning player will have, because it is so frustrating when you're a return. Like Marvel Snap is the opposite. When I want to go back and play Marvel Snap, it's like I'm getting my dick kicked every single time. They're like, hey, you want to get kicked in the balls? You play the same thing you were playing 2 years ago and grind that up, and maybe you'll get one new card eventually. You know, I'm like, I'm not playing you anymore, okay? This is so perfect because the newest things are monetized, and if you're an active player, they're free. If you're not an active player, you're probably going to need to pay something. But anything that's not the newest thing is free game for everybody, you know? I would say that this is better than I could have imagined a new system to be. And I think it probably is too generous in general. But they have the numbers. So as long as they're making enough money, you get 2 thumbs up from me.
Yeah. So I had shut off my subscription because I didn't need it. You know what I mean? I got the first month just to get it and to support them and stuff. And then I was like, wow, getting double the chests and double the, like, I was going infinite before. Now I'm going double the infinite. Like, it just didn't feel like the gems mattered. But now we have the bazaar, and I can buy things in here. And now I actually have a reason to get those gems so that I can purchase a diamond bank or whatever it may be, right? So
I think
purchased.
I spent 10,000 gems here already. So that gives you an idea of why I don't have that many gems. Because I'm like, hey, so a gem sink. I still have 100 chests, so I'm not like even concerned about it. But this is, I don't know if this is like the perfect way. Like this saying $25 for this dumbass skin. Like it's kind of cool, but it's like, this is like a little on the nose, I would say. But a rotating shop of like a limited edition thing, like I don't care about cosmetics that much, but it is something. It is a reason for me to keep my subscription because I want to support the game, and I'm not giving it money otherwise. So this has been nice. Plus, we can actually take a look at this, right? Have you? Sorry, you go ahead and continue what you're saying. I'll look at the new cosmetics here. I'll get them loaded up.
Yeah, so I really like the shop, and when they say there's like 10,000 of these, I think that's really cool because when those eventually run out, people who join 6 months from now will see that and they'll be like, "Ooh, how do I get that?" And it'll be like, "Actually, you can't unless we open the bazaar to like the way that the items are going to be on a market, right? And people can buy them, etc." But which adds value to that, right? Because me and Platt said all these season chest stuff, we get so many of these, they will never have any value. Like no matter how many players we get, it will never have any value. This is a way for those things to actually have meaningful value and a gem sink. So they finally are finding a way for us to get rid of our gems because they can't have players being so gem rich because that's problematic, right? So
Yeah.
that's why things are so expensive. That's why Mac is 3,000 now. That's, you know what I mean? Like a new character is 3,000. It has to be because they give us too much. Well, if you're a winning player, right? If you're an infinite player, it's just way too easy for you to kind of just get 20,000 gems over the course of a month with double chests.
Yeah.
So the paid part though, $25 for a skin, that seems way too overpriced. I know technically, like if we're talking about the cost of buying the gems, sure, we get that it's going to be $5 for 500 gems. So if you're paying 5,000 gems for a skin, you're paying $50. But no one, I hope, is paying $50. I think that is a legendary.
I already have it too.
Click on the thing. Okay, I wanted to see if it was legendary.
Or we'll check in here. I think they're adding them to the bottom now because my last one was.
Yeah, they're down at the bottom, but that just means we have to go through everything. These are all the skins, right, that we have in the game. No, it's diamond. Okay. Ooh, I do not have that one.
You don't have the Mac Pig?
That's so cool. I do not.
I'm so excited.
Buying Mac Dooley.
Someone fought my ghost when I had this skin, and I was a Jabalian drum, war drum build, and I was like, yes. I purposely forced a build just because I was running this skin. And you know what? I think that's what skins should do. They should make you want to force a dumb build. Although this is a really fun skin. I like this one.
I love it. And you bought that one further to the left that is like, yeah.
I must have. I don't remember it yet.
Because I seen this one in the shop being sold, so I'm hoping you can't just get it out of a chest.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But overall, yeah, I think that it's nice that they've added a gem sink. I might be a little too frivolous still in how I've been spending them. I might need to be a little more reserved. But it was still like it was nice. It's nice that I have a way to support the game now because I'm going to keep my subscription at this point because I just like getting a bunch of chests. But yeah, so I have 100 beta season chests that I left unopened out of hundreds and hundreds of them just because I'm like, well, maybe one day they'll be marketable and they might be worth more gems than what I can get from opening them. So I'm going to keep those. But who knows? I actually have to start winning some games. I got to stop just experimenting. I might play, you know what? Honestly, I'm having enough fun. I might play some unranked games like with the new Vanessa stuff because I don't want to I don't know what I'm doing with her, but I want to try out her new pack. But yeah, I think we're getting closer to closing thoughts. We're, a little over an hour. So this would be a good length for the podcast. But is there anything else you want to make sure that we cover first? In general, Rainad said he knew the podcast existed. I want to say thank you if any of them end up watching it. He didn't say he watched it. I don't want to put that much. I mean, he's probably a busy guy, but he is aware of it, which is more than I could have hoped for already. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Really big W on launching the game, fixing a lot of the issues that people were complaining about. I'm glad to see a lot of people coming back. Even more will come back over time as they just hear good things about the game. People are enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the future of this game more than ever. And as people who have been playing this game for almost 6 months, it's really great to have gone through the journey of closed beta, open beta, and now the actual launch of the game.
Yeah, I can't argue that I think the game's in the best state now than it's ever been. Maybe Mac's a little too powerful and a little oppressive in like the mid game for sure, but I think that in general the game has just been incredibly fun. They obviously know what they're doing. They have the thing is they do so much stuff good that the things that are like outliers stand out to me, where it's like I've referenced it like 6 times with those cargo shorts. I'm like, who okayed that? I don't even understand. But in general, like, yeah, they do such a good job on so many things. That's a little bit, I'm glazing a little bit, but like I honestly do feel like they've done a really good job in the game. And I feel like most of what I see is people just shitting on the game in the Discord. There are people that like it, but I see so many people just like, I mean, maybe Rainad's a little prickly, maybe he could sometimes get into the Discord and say some things to ruffle some feathers. But in general, like, I think the product speaks for itself. It's been a very good game. I will say one thing I hate. I want to say one thing I hate. I hate when I fight a player that I have to be on their board. I got my board. I don't want to play on their board. I don't care what their cosmetic is. I don't want to be on Dooley's board every single game. I like mine,
I didn't realize that's a thing.
I did, because I read the patch notes, buddy. No, but it is. You're on the enemy's board. I think that's a bad decision, but that's like whatever. It's really.
I like the flavor of that for sure. One thing that I did forget that I do want to cover, a little bit of interesting drama, right? So
Okay.
like because I know we're accused of being glazers and haters, and it goes back and forth over the months, but they posted something about 5 days before the launch of season 1 where they said on Reddit that they were going to be leaving the moderation team because they wanted to kind of distance themselves, and they were getting accused of doing a lot of stuff in the Discord that they felt they were not doing, and like you can't let people put threats of violence and like other crazy stuff out there, and people were. So there was like obviously a lot of moderation happening, but then they were getting accused of silencing the haters, which anybody who had been on the Reddit knows they definitely didn't silence all of them, because the only thing I see on there was haters. You know what I mean? I would get downvoted all the time for just having neutral takes. You know what I mean? So
You're
I'd be
yeah, I don't think it's that bad. What are you fucking? How much are they paying you? Sucking Rainad's dong? Yeah.
That's right. We had somebody comment on saying the Bazaar is in the name of your guys' channel. You guys need the Bazaar to succeed. And it's like, buddy, like, I don't know if they don't realize, but you have like more than 17,000 followers on your other channel, right? We're not monetized. This is something
Yeah,
we do for fun.
100%
Like
because we like the
we
game.
don't need the game. We'll just stop covering it if we're not enjoying it. But like, it's just crazy to me the idea. It's like this is not our job by any extent, and we don't want it to be our job. Well, maybe Platt does, but I'm perfectly happy with my day job, and he has, got a lot of success on his gotcha channel or whatever he kind of
Yeah.
Covers that as. So anyway, they fast forward. They said that they're leaving, and the mods were like, "We need help. We're not going to do this by ourselves." There's only two mods who weren't part of the company, and then once they launched the new season, they came back to the Reddit,
Okay.
and they are back to moderating it. I thought that was just really weird.
Well, I don't know if you in Raynad's like release launch trailer, it was kind of weird. He's like, "Hey guys, the Bazaar is out. Hope you enjoy it." And now I'm going to talk about how we're going to moderate, and we're not going to let things. Like, so that was like a lot of what he talked about, which was kind of weird for a launch trailer. But I understand like that's just kind of how he is. He's talking to the community that's already been playing the game, not as much like players that are coming in. But they said that they're going to be more. They're going to crack down more on just like things that are like obviously not okay. Like I'm sure people are allowed to voice things that they dislike, but violence, just plain being aggressive and rude for like no reason. Although I understand I probably have a higher tolerance for stuff like that. That's not what they want. They want theirs to be more of a feel good environment. And like someone's going to create an unofficial Bazaar Discord and they're all going to go shit on it in there. It's not like it's a big deal if the official is a little more controlled, but they said they're going to moderate the Reddit and they're going to moderate the Discord a lot more.
Correct, which is perfectly fine. The only reason it's weird is because of the announcement of them leaving. If they would have never announced that they were leaving 5 days beforehand, I would have been like, yeah, all of this makes perfect sense. But it just shows you there was a lack of proper planning. So basically, whoever decided that they were going to leave either didn't clear it with Reynad or Reynad changed his mind, right? And the reasons that Reynad gave for moderating it and like wanting like a place that has been around for like almost 10 years, in one of the bases of information about the game, wanting that to be under your purview and not under the purview of people who aren't related to the game makes perfect sense. I don't want to say that at all. I just thought it was the disconnect of, they had been running this for like I want to say at least 8 years. This Reddit, and to take a break from it, and then 5 days later announce that we're actually going back to moderating it, and we're cracking down harder. Which I 100% agree on the cracking down harder. If you want to bitch about the game, there's a million places to do it. Go to your favorite YouTuber or Twitch players Discord and complain about it there, right? Like you don't need to go to the official channels to tell them they're a POS and about how much you hate the game. Like, yeah, that's just
it's not like a because people always get politics into stuff. It's not like Twitter. Should you be censored on Twitter or whatnot? This is like most of the people that are coming into the Discord are either going to talk about they're going to have questions about issues they're having like support, or they just want to talk about the game that they like with other people that like it and they want to find out what's good. They don't want to walk into a wall of just people shitting on everything, and you ask a question, you get shit on. So yeah, I think it's totally okay for them to do it. There's tons of spaces for you to be angry at the game. So I agree. It's totally fair for them to have moderation on their own Discord, even though.
And I actually got really tired of I enjoy going to the Discord and the Reddit, but during the time period, the 3 weeks where everybody was super negative. I did not enjoy going. I would check back probably once or twice a week just to be like, oh, are we actually being reasonable human beings now? Nope. All right. Peace.
Yeah, I would go in and I would just be like, I don't think the moderation's that bad. And then I would just leave and people would be like,
just start a fire.
Yeah, it's like chill. I mean, it would be the context. People would be shitting on it, and I'd be like, honestly, it seems pretty reasonable to me. Maybe it's not what they said initially, but I don't think it's outside of the realm of what is reasonable monetization for this style of game. And people would get mad, and so then I'd leave and I'd come back and do it once every few days or something. And then eventually everyone stopped talking about it. But they fixed everything. I don't even think there was a problem, and they still fixed it. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a problem for the type of players we are. I did think that retaining and getting new players in, there was an experience issue. I think
Yes.
they fixed it now. I think the only thing I'm worried about is, can they make enough money off of this? Are their prices reasonable enough where people are going to buy stuff? Because I'm not buying $25 skins. You drop that sucker down to 10, maybe I will. You know what I mean? And I want to support the game, but I don't care enough about the skins to drop $25 on it, and I don't even think that pig one's that cool, which is a separate issue, I guess. But some of the ones that are for free that you can get out of the chests, I think are actually cooler. So
yeah, but this is actually the coolest one though. Fucking Ring King Pygmalion. I love this. This is me on Saturdays when I'm not on the podcast. This is how I walk around my house, you know. And so I
how
love
great
this.
is it that you only played two characters, and before this you only played one, and the fact that your guy got the super sick end of the line skin.
And I bet he's one of the least popular characters in general, right? I bet a lot of Vanessa's probably number one, and now Mac's probably number one now, right? What's number 45?
Yeah.
What do we get at 45? Okay. Well, the level 61's pretty cool anyway. But yeah, all right. It's time to wrap it up. I want to get it out of here before an hour and a half. So any final closing thoughts?
Oh, thanks everybody for watching, and we might throw down my referral code in the description. So if you watch this long and you haven't played the game yet or created an account, then
I will 100%. Lalietta is going to tell me, give me his referral code, and he's going to tell me what episode number this is, and then that will be what goes up, because it's going to go from episode 6 to episode 18 or something. They're like, what happened to all the other episodes? And I'll be like, listen, they got lost. The YouTube algorithm didn't like us. I don't know. So that's the only thing you got to show up, and you got to tell me those two numbers. That's what I need from you. All right. But yeah, that's all, guys. Thank you very much. Next week, stop by. We're gonna be going over the Dooley items and the Vanessa items. He's gonna play Dooley. I'll play some Vanessa, and we'll get a little bit of context on those, because it's all about Mac right now, right? But I think I'm ready to kind of experiment with some other stuff and go back and play some Pig as well. So, guys, that is all. Much love. Per platypus is per platypus. I'll see you on the flip flops. Bye. On the rise, watch the views go.